Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, ladies and gentlemen, depending on where you join us from in the world. Welcome to Open Up, our live talk show. My name is RJ Horner, and I'm the host of Open Up, and I'm also the vice president of Voice of Men 360. So I want to thank you on behalf of the Voice of Men 360 team and myself. Voice of Men 360 is a not for profit organization founded in 2020 and based in Toronto, Canada. Voice of Men 360 was born out of seeing a tremendous need and stepping up to help provide services to help our men and boys overcome their life challenges. We're part of International Men's Day. International Men's Day has been serving in over 21 years so far and is now represented in 90 countries around the world who join together doing various activities regularly. IMD follows six pillars, which represent the overall well being of boys and men. And we follow in those same footsteps here in Voice of Men 360. So, why is Open Up so important? Because men are not willing to open up our hearts and share our matters with people. And when we do this, we keep these within ourselves, creating emotional challenges or even physical defects. And we want to avoid that here. That's why we want to create an open space and allow individuals to share their life journey through our platform. We want to create awareness about life challenges and the struggles that are and the overcomes and ups and downs that our boys and men have to go through in their lives. There are no limitations with and gender, age, nationality, or ethnic groups. All walks of life are invited to participate in our programming. Our goal is to make a positive impact in someone's life through this program. Open Up is on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. and Sundays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, where we bring individuals to demonstrate their life and share their life experiences with you. So we'd like to remind you at this time that Voice of Men 360's mission is always delivered with good faith towards peaceful harmony. The views and opinions expressed in today's episode are those of our speakers and not necessarily representation of Voice of Men 360. Our organization engages in discussion forums to offer inspiration and create awareness to the issues of men who wish to overcome their life challenges. We are not providing medical or therapeutic advice. Should you require that type of help, we recommend you contact a medical professional immediately. If you have questions or concerns about today's episode or any Voice of Men 360 content, please email us info@voiceofmen360.org. Today, I want you to welcome Jerry Almeida to Open Up. Jerry's a leadership and subject matter expert with global leadership organizations and Ivy League institutions. He is mentor to mentors, having mentored several trainers and coaches, CEOs, and chief executive officers in over 90% of Fortune 500 companies. He's also the architect of several initiatives, including the Joy of Giving, Mavir Chakra Awards with the UN, Right Every Wrong, 1 billion Rising, 1 billion Hungry, and Rex Karmavir Global Fellowship and Swatch Bharat Mission. Sorry, I can't quite pronounce that one. He's created several learning concepts with life and leadership lessons for personal and societal transformation. Mode, an internationally represented business and lifestyle magazine profile Jerry is the most energizing, empowering, and experimental storyteller among the 10 most influential authors in the world, along with Arianna Huffington, Brene Brown, and more. Jerry Almeida, thank you for joining us and being willing to share your life journey with us this morning.
Good morning to you, RJ, and thank you for inviting me on the Voice of Men event.
Absolutely. So we've built you as a very influential leadership speaker and presenter, among with, like I said, some big names: Arianna Huffington, Brene Brown, just to name two of the top. That you are among these type leaders. So, tell us first a little more about how you got into this type of position.
Uh, it's a magazine which featured me, but what I do is I write books and I tell stories of ordinary heroes who are doing extraordinary work to make a difference in our society, in our country, in our world, and those books are widely appreciated now around the world. We are a best-selling book series called Karma Kari, and I think that's what is the influence that one could talk about how you're influencing young minds, old minds, to think about changing their mindsets and understand that each of us can make a difference in our world, and each of us needs to be and lead that change that we want to see in our world.
Absolutely, very words to live by. Again, so you've had this inspiration for a long time that people are to, empower themselves, take it upon themselves. Um, but where did that inspiration come from for you?
For me, the inspiration comes from a young age because I started volunteering at a young age because I could have gone on a different path otherwise. And while volunteering, I was working with the sex workers in a place called Bombay, which is the commercial capital of India. And that's where I realized that I need to do something to make a difference. And that led me to start several initiatives like the Joy of Giving or the Swachh Bharat mission, which is now about cleaning India and cleansing India also. And I think it's all about changing mindsets. It's all about understanding that each of us has a role and responsibility to make a difference in our world. And like I said, not because it's altruistic or selfless or charitable, because our children live in the same world. To quote a very old Native American saying, that we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. So
Mm,
each human being has a role and responsibility of preserving the earth, or at least creating an earth which is better than the one that we were born into, because that's what we owe future generations. And somehow I see that we are only regressing in the world, because humans mostly consume, they don't give back, right? So while we are trained to be very commercial consumers, and career mules, as I call them, we are not trained to be people who are champions of change. And I thought that by telling stories of ordinary people who are making a huge difference in our world with their extraordinary deeds, we could inspire other minds around the world to adopt that change. And I have a very simple mantra for saving the world. I say, I can't change anything, but I can change myself to change things. So I
mhm.
change to change the world. I change to change the country. I change to change society. It all starts with each of us.
Absolutely. I love that concept too. I live by that very much for myself. I become better for me so that I can make society better. You know what I mean? I'm provided a better contribution. I'm becoming a better individual, not just for myself, but for my family and for my generations to come.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Absolutely, that's the responsibility we have for people. But where did you get these values, if we don't mind? I'd like to go back, if we could, to your parental relationships. What was your influence from your parents as a young child? You said you started volunteering early. That doesn't
Yes.
come from just your own decisions, does it?
So, I was mostly raised by my mother, who made a lot of sacrifices, worked very hard to give me a good life, to give me a good education. My father died when I was 8.
Okay.
My mother remarried when I was around 10 years old, and I've seen life very closely. I mean, I've seen the good years when when my father was alive. I've seen some rough years later, and I think those values come from the fact that. You know like I said, I could have gone into a completely different onto a completely different path. If I had not made the choices, I would have probably been an addict, or been a person who was frustrated with life, depressed. Yeah, but I chose a path of making something of myself. Rather than choosing a path of destruction. And the fact that my mother worked hard to give me a good life and a good education helped me to stay on the right path. So
Mhm.
so like I always say, destiny and life is a manifestation of consequences from the choices that we make. So those are the
Absolutely.
choices I made, those are the values I adopted, which helped me to stay on the right path. And I feel that if I can do the same and inspire others to do the same, right, it's a life well lived.
You say the choices you made. Um, at what time in your life did you start to make these kind of choices? Would it have been young adulthood or early childhood?
When I was around 16 years old.
Right, when we start to mature into adulthood, I think that's a good sign or a good time because again, we're dependent on our parents for a while,
Right,
right?
right, right.
But at a good time to start taking ownership of your own life and knowing
Absolutely.
that by the time I become an adult, I have some responsibilities on my shoulder. I'm going to have to show some initiative in my youth to try and grow to that responsibility, right?
Very true, very true, absolutely. And I think that's what we need to understand, that most of the roles that we are born into are default roles, whether it's
Mhm.
the role of a human being, or a son, or a brother, or a sister, right? If we don't understand, don't realize, and don't fulfill the responsibilities in each of those roles, then we don't really have a good balance. And I talk about the multiple intelligences over there, where we need to have a balanced life and a balanced lifestyle, where you pay equal and fair attention to all your roles and responsibilities.
Mhm.
I think that's what we teach in leadership coaching, and that's what one has to practice rather than just preach.
Yes, because look, we teach work-life balance, where it's
Right.
not really work-life balance because we have so much other responsibility, as you just said, to
Absolutely.
individuals who intersect with our lives. So by paying
Absolutely.
attention to each of those responsibilities, we are living that balanced lifestyle you mentioned. Absolutely. Thank you about that.
Right. In fact, this entire concept of work-life balance, RJ, is something which we've recreated in our book Mojo Inspirator, which is a self-help and a personal development book, where we say that we don't like the concept of work-life balance. Why should
Right.
work come first? So we've kind of tweaked it a little, and we say life, play, and work balance. Right?
Mhm.
Life comes first, then play, which means that you need to have fun with your life. You need to be energized, you need to be enthused, you need to be excited about your life, and that makes you more productive in work. Right? Because if you're not enthusiastic, if you're not energetic, you can't be highly productive at work. Right? So you got to get the concept right. It's life, play, work balance, or
Mhm.
all work and no play makes Jerry a dull boy.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely. And we have it out here. We have a term, we picked it up from Brian Tracy, called plurking. And he calls it playing at work.
Right, right.
Playing at working. So,
Absolutely.
and so go out and plurk. Go out there and enjoy your work, have fun. Absolutely. We must have that, I think.
Right.
If you're not doing what you want to do in life, you just, please go out and find something else that brings you joy. Absolutely. So
Absolutely true.
you lost your father at a young age, but you did have a stepfather almost immediately. Now I'm a stepfather myself, and I'd like to believe I did justice by my children. What was your relationship like with your stepfather?
It was choppy, but I think in my later years, I mean, when I started kind of getting into adulthood, is when I made my peace with my stepfather. Uh, so it was not too intimate in my childhood, but yes, in later years, I did kind of share a close relationship. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, see, I did have a close relationship with my kids, but also that wasn't probably a good thing because we clashed on occasion. Because again, they're my step kids, not my kids. But I will say that built a better, stronger relationship with them as I was growing. You know what I mean? We grew together, so that was beneficial in my relationship with my kids. So like I said, I believe I did them justice. I hope your stepfather did justice by you. It sounds like it because you did have, like I said, you started volunteering at an early age. What
Right.
was that about, and why did you start giving back at a young age?
So I volunteered because I've always been a high energy person, and I while in college I smoked pot for around 4 months in my life, and then I saw friends going on to bigger things like heroin and brown sugar, and I said I don't want to do this. Yeah. So besides starting work at a very young age, decided to do something which helps me to grow, helps me to stay on the right path, and that's how I chose to volunteer with the college volunteering group. And we used to go to this place called Kamatipura, which is the largest sex work district in Bombay. And while working with the kids of the sex workers there, I actually understood what is called the attitude of gratitude. And I realized that I was so ungrateful when I should have been grateful that I had a safe home,
Mhm.
a protective mother, because here were kids who were being abused by the customers, by the cops. They were kind of abused and treated like filth. Right?
Yep.
I mean, the human dignity was missing, and and that also gave me the realization that sex workers are not bad women. They are mothers to somebody. Right?
Right.
And I think it changed everything from me. So from a very ungrateful person, I started becoming a very grateful person. That old saying that I had no shoes, I was crying that I had no shoes till I met the man who had no feet, literally happened to me. And I think it changed my entire course. I call Kamatipura, the sex work district, the real school of my life, the real university of my life. Yeah.
Sure. No. Hey, listen, there's nothing like I grew up not on the streets again. I always had a home. I always had a life to live. But I get again, I lived around the kids who were living on the streets and I grew an appreciation. I love that you said you made the choice. You saw the lifestyle that people were living around you and you made the choice that I'm not going to live this lifestyle. I'm going to pursue this,
Right.
and achieve the healthy lifestyle instead of, the potential for peer pressure that we all are stuck in. Um,
Absolutely.
so I love that you had appreciation for others. Um, Tell us some of the other influences that you've maybe noticed or experienced dealing with, the what we you just said maybe are treated like trash, but the lower dregs of society, the people who have to struggle for life. What are your experiences in that realm?
I think these are all man-made constructs basically, and it is sad that while we in a world, in a country where we celebrate billionaires or millionaires and the rich and the wealthy, the rich and the famous, right? um, we don't really celebrate the real pillars of our economy, which is the labor, right? Unfortunately, there's no dignity because they are treated like people who have to be used and abused. And I think that basic dignity is missing, whether it's in the United States or in India. We saw this during the pandemic and the lockdown, how the labor was treated, not only by government and institutions but even by individuals. So people staying in very expensive apartment blocks actually fired their daily wage laborers, the people who clean their cars or work in their homes as domestic house help, because they couldn't come to the homes anymore. So I think we need to become a more caring society, and get away from that carelessness that we have, right? Because uh, wha- it's not about celebrities and it's not about millionaires, because we have to understand that our basic food, clothing, and shelter is made by the labor. So, if there's any community which truly deserves respect, then it is the community which actually delivers our food, shelter, and clothing to us. It's not the rich farmers or the rich landlords who give us our food. It is the labor who grows the food for us and delivers the food to our doorsteps. Uh, you'll see this in Time magazine and Fortune magazine. We talk about the 100 most influential, 100 most wealthy, 100 most powerful people in the world, and I'm like, how are they powerful? Because they're sitting down powerlessly in their homes during the lockdown, while it is the truck drivers, the grocers, the delivery boys who are ensuring that we get our daily
Mhm.
essential needs. If not for them, we wouldn't have survived this pandemic. So I think it's
Absolutely.
time for the world to realize who the real heroes are. And I think that is what actually inspired me to start writing books of real heroes,
Mhm.
because the youth and the kids need to understand that movie stars and sports stars are not the real heroes. The real heroes are the ones who are making a difference on the ground.
Absolutely, and that is the everyday people, isn't it?
It is
Like
the
you say,
everyday people.
yeah, man. Okay, first of all, our doctors and work or health workers, they kept us, and I mean the entire world, going.
Right,
We would have
right,
stopped. We would have died if it wasn't for them. Like we would
right.
have been
Absolutely.
long destructed if we didn't have them. But not to
Right.
mention, like you say, the truck drivers. If anybody
Yes.
of them decided they were going to shut down, or the grocery workers, if they decided they were going to shut down, society would have shut down worldwide. Like that's
Absolutely. Our security staff, our housekeeping staff, the facility managers, the janitors,
the
the
janitors.
right. I mean, there were apartment blocks around the world who ensured that the janitors stayed within the apartment blocks, because who will keep the building clean, right?
And
But
which is
but when it
the
comes
key to our health, right? So
absolutely, but when it comes to appreciating and acknowledging them, we don't do it.
we don't. Yes, that's exactly what we're. So we're showing them some appreciation right now.
Absolutely.
Hardly enough, I think, but these are the people who have the true power. So I'm glad you draw to that. But give me one or two examples from your books, if you could. Just one, maybe empowering story where somebody's come above and found their ultimate path.
So RJ, one of the anchor story in my Karmakari book series is a man called Dashrath Manji, who's now popular as the Mountain Man. I had the privilege of meeting this man, privilege, honor, and the opportunity to meet this man just by default when I was researching a community called the Musahar community. Musahar, literally translated in English, means rat eaters. So in India, these people eat rats not because it's a fine dining dish served in some restaurant in New York or Bombay, but it's because they don't have food to eat.
Yep.
They're considered to be the untouchables within the untouchables. On one side, India talks about sending people to Mars and sending people to the moon, etc. On the other side, we still treat people as untouchables. We're talking about human beings here who are called untouchables, and in the untouchables you have the untouchables within the untouchables, which are called the musahars who are called rat eaters. So they're ostracized from society. They live on the outskirts of eastern UP and Bihar, and completely ostracized from society. So they survive by eating rats. And in this community, I meet a man called Dashrath Manji, who I was told that he actually moved a mountain. So in a typical leadership oratory conference where I'm talking about heroism, and I ask people, do you think you can move a mountain? And people will kind of say, no, I don't think that's possible. I said, I'm not telling you a fairy tale, I'm telling you a true story. I met the man who moved the mountain, right? So Dashrath Manji actually moved a mountain because he couldn't cross that mountain on time with his wife, because he couldn't get to the nearest healthcare center. So he said, no one else should die like my wife died because I couldn't get to the health center in time. So he decides to cut that mountain, and people laugh at him and they say, are you nuts? You'll cut a mountain not with a bulldozer, not with the earth mover, but you'll cut a mountain with a hammer and a chisel. And he says, yes, because I don't have time to complain about what the government is doing or not doing, or what others are doing or not doing. I need to cut this mountain in my lifetime so that nobody else dies like my wife died. And with one hammer and one chisel, he actually cut that mountain and created a huge 18-kilometer long road, which reduced the distance. So now you can get to the hospital within half an hour, while earlier it used to take people around 8.5 to 9 hours because they don't have vehicles to travel. So that story, that man inspired me to start the Karmavir Awards
Mhm.
and the Karmakari book series. And then we have several other stories. There's Lakshman Singh, who was a boy who's never gone to school or college, who was transformed 400 villages from wastelands into wetlands, again with indigenous learning. Uh, and Lakshman has now created livelihood from agriculture and a life of dignity for over 1 million people and children. So what is it that separates these people from the rest of us? It is that grit, that determination, that resilience to make a difference, not just for themselves but for the community. And Lakshman, who has never gone to school or college, has students from around the world who are pursuing their degrees in top universities for agricultural science or environmental engineering. They come to learn from him in a small hut in a place called Lapodia, which is in Rajasthan, right? So and what will these people do with all their degrees after they get their degrees? They'll either join a soap and detergent company like Unilever and and sell soap. So my point to them is, put your education to use, put your education to make a difference, not just chase a career and climb up the corporate or the organization ladder.
Absolutely. Look, the best of us, look, most of our entrepreneurs, that's what they do. They look out for that problem or that initiative that they can step into and help improve or better in some way. And then they provide a service or goods that can help, improve our society. That is what it's all about. But even
Absolutely.
like you mentioned, you know what? The little guy, the determined individual who, for whatever reason, decides he's going to take it upon himself, and no amount you know, hardship or struggle is going to stop him from that mission. Those people are certainly people who change the world, and we
Absolutely.
need a lot more of those. So I applaud you for telling these stories to the world.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, RJ.
So, I mean, do you have any other? I mean, we got a few minutes here before we can start this and end the show. But share some of those successes,
There,
other than
there,
these
there,
stories.
there, there are many stories, and like I said, we don't celebrate the real people. So
Right.
I wanted to do that, and I think what the world needs to realize is that just because a few people have wealth and they've created great enterprises, whether it's Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, it doesn't mean that they have the wisdom to know it all, and tell us how to do things. I mean, Bezos recently made a statement about how we should take polluting industries away from Earth and into space. Well, if you pollute space, Earth will get negatively impacted too. So I think we need to understand to stick to our domain and not just kind of give suggestions and advice, which is all wrong. Why do you want to go to Mars and colonize Mars and destroy another planet? What is
Hmm.
the reason that you can't invest your billions in improving Earth, in
Hmm.
changing mindsets, in enlightening people about what they need to do to be more responsible, humane, and caring human beings? What is the reason we are not kind of creating more forest land? What is the reason
Yes.
that we want to go to Mars, a planet which has no life, and try to colonize that place? So I think this is all bizarre. This is all kind of a human construct again, just to
Yep.
kind of say that we were the first to go to Mars. Who gives a damn,
Hmm.
right? Use your billions in the right way, because you've taken away the livelihood and life of dignity from many mom and pop stores when you started Amazon. So are you doing something back for the community?
Hmm.
Is your philanthropy real, or is it just lip service?
Right.
Right. So I think these are big questions which one needs to ask, and I think those are the questions that we need to ask all these people who made their billions. How did you make your billions, and what are you doing with the billions?
Yeah.
Right, because that is what is actually negatively impacting the world, the disparity in the world. Right.
Absolutely.
uh, so do we, what is the reason that people have respect for these people who are time and again being exposed for keeping all their money in tax havens, which is all dirty money?
Yep.
Right. So I think the world needs to kind of somewhere realize that we need to become real, we need to get real, and we need to understand what real heroism is all about. So
Right.
that's what I want to say. At the same time, I want to say, please don't go to Mars and destroy another planet.
Yep.
We've almost destroyed Earth, right?
Work on
let's
making this one better.
let's work on making Earth progressive. Earth is right now regressive. I remember,
Yes.
it was in 1992 that a young girl called Severin Suzuki gate crashed the UN meeting in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro, in Brazil. And the crux of her talk, her 5-minute talk, was that if you cannot fix it, please don't break it anymore, because this earth does not belong to you. It belongs to us, the future generations. She spoke in 1992, which is almost like 30 years ago. 30 years later, the world is more broken,
Hmm.
and
Yes.
most of the Charlies who attend the UN meetings have no clue how to fix it.
Yes.
So they just they wax eloquent over there about how we can take polluting industries into space. Well, dude, if you pollute space, Earth does get affected. So if you don't know, shut up,
Hmm.
right? Just
Yep.
zip it, right?
Absolutely. Look, again, we've spent so much on the interest of getting to space and getting
Yeah,
out there and learning what's out there. But again, let's say we turned all of that interest to what's here, what's on this planet. What can we
absolutely.
do to make everybody fed, clothed,
Yes,
have
yes,
a roof
absolutely.
over their head? What can we do to get every
Yeah,
single person? Because if we can provide those things, three things for everybody, we may just start providing happiness for everybody,
absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
So,
And humanity will become better, right? When you create a fair world, a world which is win-win, crimes will reduce, and a lot of things will reduce. But rather than using billions for the progress of humankind, we are using it for all the
destruction.
wrong
Yeah,
reasons, right?
it is destruct.
For,
It is
for
destroying us slowly.
destruction. On one side, you have encroached into the Amazon forest.
Yes.
For what? For making paper money, right?
Yes.
And on the other side, you're talking about going to Mars. I mean, this is completely bizarre. I mean,
Yep.
if all those billions that they talk about, I wrote this piece when Jeff Bezos, his estranged life partner, Mackenzie Scott, she recently announced 2.7 billion. And I wrote the piece and I marked, I said, your intent is noble to do something with your billions, but your research team has done shallow work, because all the charities that you chose have not shown any impact in the past 40 years,
Yeah.
right? So why,
Yeah.
why is it that William Kamkwamba, who changed Malawi in less than 10 years, a very poor country in Africa, the boy who harnessed the wind, William Kamkwamba,
Mhm.
why is it that his name is not there in your list of 270 organizations? Which means your research team is only doing research on Facebook and social media.
Right.
Ask them to go out there on the ground at the grassroots and find the real organizations and one man armies like who we feature, one man or one woman armies who we feature in our Karmakari books.
Mhm.
And we actually told them told her that we are happy to give you the research absolutely free, right? Pro
Yep.
bono.
Yep.
Please use it, but put your money invest your money in the right organizations, not just
Absolutely.
organizations who kind of promote themselves on social media but have little impact to show on the ground. So I think
Abs-
we need to get real, and like I always say, it is not mindless arrogant charity but humble, involved, mindful social justice that is wanting in our world. And what do I mean by social justice? Simply fairness and equal opportunity for one and every human being and all other living beings also.
Absolutely. You've left us with lots of information, but there's two questions I like to ask at the end of the show. First one being, what can our young men and boys do to empower their own lives?
That's a great question, and I think what we need to do is that understand that education is not simply about getting a job, which helps us to buy fancy cars and live fancy lifestyles. Education should be about becoming a good human being, which means, am I fulfilling my responsibility as a human being? Becoming a good citizen, which means, am I living up to the expectation that my country has of me as a citizen? Or am I just kind of demanding my rights but not fulfilling my responsibilities again?
Mhm.
uh, so I think that covers it all about how can we be good human beings.
Right.
And like I always say, every animal, even a worm and a germ, contributes to the
Yes.
progress, to the preservation of earth. But there's only one animal who mostly does not contribute to the preservation of earth, and that is the human being.
Mhm.
So I think that should be a part of our education, and unfortunately it is not there right now. And that's
Absolutely.
what we teach in our Mojoshan Spirit to Life, Leadership and Learning to Learn lessons.
Mhm. So then, what can we do as a society to help empower them?
So I think we what we need to do is there's this internet guru called Gary Vee, who talks about who goes around talking about how schools and colleges are redundant and they're not needed anymore. Well, I don't agree, because schools and colleges can never be redundant, because one does not only learn from books, you learn by osmosis, right? You learn
Yes.
by shared collective thinking, right? And that's what happens in a classroom. So he talks about that, because he says all the information is available on Google. Well, dude, Google is not even information, it's data. It's not knowledge, surely, and it's not wisdom.
Sure.
So schools and colleges and education systems can never be redundant or irrelevant.
Right.
They will always be important. But the education methodology has to change. The pedagogy has to change. The andragogy has to change. We need to teach teachers to teach better, right?
Yep.
And we need to teach students how to learn, not just to study to get a degree and a high percentage which gets them good jobs,
Mhm.
but to learn what are the learnings that you're getting from that lesson.
Mhm.
And that's why we have a very powerful program for teachers, which is called titled not just teachers, but enlighteners, awakeners and transformers, because you have the power to see, touch and change the future, right? So if teachers teach better, students will learn better. They won't just study, they will learn. And that's why one of the most essential skills of the future is learning to learn, which means how do we teach people how to learn, right? So I think that's very important, and that's my message to all the youngsters and the grown-ups, that learn, don't just study, because
Yeah.
that
And
that
it's
that that degree that you get, that percentage that you get, is useless if you don't understand the concept, if you don't truly internalize the concepts.
Yeah, and learning is an interactive experience. I think you just highlighted it. Look, even when we use Google, I found the best effective use of Google is when you're in a crowd and you have some, question that comes up, you Google it, and then you share the information. And now you guys have a discussion around what you just found out on Google,
Absolutely,
right? So you're
absolutely.
learning not just what was printed down there on paper, but now you get everybody else's opinion. You have a discussion around it. Everybody has just learned something because you guys just had a question that came up in your daily activity.
Absolutely. And that's what I call as learning by osmosis.
Yeah.
We learn from each other's thoughts, because that's, it's what Socrates said centuries ago, and he said, I cannot teach anyone anything. I can only make you think. So I think we need to get people to think better, so that they can renew their thinking, and with that renewed thinking, improve their thinking, and with that improved thinking, think about doing things that can improve the world.
Right. Because again, that's back to where we started. Look, we're trying to become better individuals so that we can make better families for a better society.
Absolutely, absolutely. It has a ripple effect,
Yep.
and it all starts with I, right? I
All
change
starts
to
with that.
change
Yes.
everything. I change to change everyone, right? Because the very concept of leadership has got very bastardized around the world, because leadership is now about coming on magazine covers or in the most powerful list. That's not leadership. Leadership is not about having followers. Leadership is not about being a person who has many followers and people following him. No, we've got the concept all wrong. Leadership simply is about leading the self. It's that simple, right?
Yes.
You lead the self, right? Now, how you do that, whether you do it right or you do it wrong, that's a choice. Right?
Right.
So that's
And
what
look,
it is.
you know what? If you do it well enough, you're going to be an example to others, and they'll start to follow you. And then your
Absolutely,
leadership expands beyond yourself, and you start influencing others
absolutely. And
just by what you do.
that's exactly how inspiration happens, because you be the role
Yes.
model, right?
Yes. Yes.
That's what it is.
That's
Yeah,
that's what we're about here. That's why we have people out like yourself to share their journey, to share their life experience, to be an inspiration for others.
yeah. So
So
thank you, Archie. I mean, it's been a delightful conversation with you, and thank you to you and Sivam for having me on this show. It's been an enlightening experience. I mean, you've been asking me all the right questions.
thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us and sharing your life experience with us today. I appreciate your courage and willingness to come out and help other men and share your life struggles and journey.
Thank you so much, Archie Honor, and namaste from
Thank you.
India.
That was Jerry Alameda, and he had some amazing guidance for us today. So, as many Canadians know, our Indigenous communities are in big crisis now and they need our help and support. Voice of Men 360 has been stepping up and we have been hosting a donation drive for Indigenous families. If you have any items to donate, used clothing, dry food items, or any other usable goods, please let us know. We're working to collect those items. You can call us at these phone numbers 416 356 7414 or our phone number 437-889-8329. Email us info at voiceofmen360.org or reach out to us through Facebook Messenger. We are working to coordinate these items, to collect these items. We have several live shows here with Voice of Men 360. The first you just participated in is Open Up. This is people sharing their life experience and their life journey with us in order to help empower others. This is a live talk show every Wednesday at 6 p.m. and Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We also have a live talk show called Vili, which means I in Tamil. So please join us for that Tamil language live show Sunday mornings at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll host a monthly webinar the first Saturday of every month, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, where we bring out organizations to share their expertise and discuss their particular topic of interest. We host a monthly special show called The Unspoken Tears. This one takes place the second Saturday of every month from 10 a.m. to 11 Eastern Time. Again, The Unspoken Tears focuses on domestic violence against men, bullying, male sexual abuse, trauma, and human trafficking. Yes, they happen, and we discuss them here in Voice of Men 360. We also host a show with the All Bengal Men's Forum called the South Asian Men's Show. This again is topics facing South Asian men, where we host different countries in South Asia to discuss issues going on at the time of the broadcast. So again, the next one is today, and it will be from Pakistan. So please, again, we turn all of our pod or episodes into podcast episodes. So please look for us on your favorite platform, Spotify, iPhone, Google Play, and more. We also host some support groups here. The first one is men's group for men only. Only men are invited to attend this one so that we can be open to discuss our issues among ourselves. The next one will be Tuesday, October 19th, 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. through Zoom. Please join us. Please register in advance. The link is available on our Facebook page or group. And then we have an Indigenous peer-to-peer support group called Pass the Talking Stick. This one is the fourth Friday of every month from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. through Zoom. There are no limitations with gender, age, nationality, or ethnic groups. All walks of life are invited to participate in our programming. If you want to be a guest on any of our shows, or if you're willing to be a part of our organization, help us whether directly or indirectly, please reach out to us. We look to work with individuals, professionals, experts, community organizations, associations, governments, NGOs, and more. Our phone number again is 437-889-8329. Email us info@voiceofmen360.org or our website www.voiceofmen360.org, or you can reach us at .com or .ca. You can find us on all of your favorite social media platforms: Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos on YouTube. And then join us on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/Voice of Men 360. We're looking to increase our membership by this International Men's Day, November 19th, 2021. We're looking to increase to 5,000 members. Help share the word, help spread this message, help like and subscribe to more videos. We're looking to help spread the word, to help reach out to more people and help more people. Please continue your support. Thank you for all you've done, and thank you for joining us today. Until next time, I am Vice President of Voice of Men 360 and your host, asking you to open up.